we're not looking for customers, we're looking for clients. And if you want to talk about what's simpler, is it simpler to keep chasing people who are coming in and out? Or is it easier to stick with one person who you know is going to not only continue being a repeat business? Based on a previous podcast, we found that the second purchase is actually a 3x value. You find that you can actually have a clientele base that's self-replicating. They're referring you to other people because you've shown how much more you care and what level you can serve.
Hello, and welcome to the $1 Million Electrician Podcast, where we help home service pros like you supercharge your business and spark up those sales.
I'm Joseph Lucani, and together with my co-host Clay Newmeyer, we're here to share the secrets that have helped electricians sell over $1 million from a single service van.
Now it's time for sales. It's time for scale. It's time to become $1 million electrician. That was Starsky and Hutch for you?
Open the hood. Do it.
It's just like, and he orders the drink. What did he say? Ryan rocks. Do it. Don't steal my. What did he say? Don't steal my voice.
No, yeah, don't. That's my guy. And he's like trying to. It's like he goes. The other guy goes, do it. It's like, what?
Yeah, do it. A little mustache. Do it. Yeah, that's funny. Anyway, starting off with some humor today, guys. Starsky and Hutch, if you haven't seen that remake, man, that was a funny show. Who hasn't seen that, though? Come on, you'd have to be living under a rock.
I mean, or living in a subterranean layer. I mean, I miss a good amount of things in the outside world.
That's fair, man. Yeah, me too at this point. I'm down in the subterranean layer too. We got a great show for you guys today. As always, we're brought to you here and powered by Duramax portable generators. If all you're doing is complete standbys, I strongly encourage you to go back, listen to some of the generator episodes we've done, and come join us in the SLE Pro App, learn more about how you could be creating a lower option for these homeowners. And basically, you could tie it to almost any set of options where there's storms, where there's rolling blackouts, consistent power outages, and that ties us perfectly into our topic of today as we're coming up on, and we just briefly talked about in a recent pricing episode, Joe's webinar coming up February 4th, 2026. That's Service Loop Multiplier. And what that loop means was all about the extra, the value that you can really multiply to create multiples in your revenue and in your profit. You know what? There's so much that we teach here, but there's nothing I'm more sure of, Joe, than people that work with you in this domain tend to skyrocket their sales. Things just go better. It's almost like magic, brother. So you have my blessing. Let me let you back on the mic. How are you doing today, brother? Are you excited for this?
I am beyond excited because options are one of those things that I think people really peg in the wrong light. It's not necessarily a sales thing, though it will very realistically bring you more revenue. And consider it more of a service, not just to your client, but actually to your employees. Remember in one of the previous episodes, we were talking about how it's so hard to find electricians. And we actually advocate for hiring apprentices. Believe it or not, I personally believe that options are the way that you can actually train them on how to do better service. Because if you're going to design 6 choices on one scenario, and all your techs are saying, well, let's just do the bare minimum, they need to understand the electrical system on a theoretical and a practical level to design all those choices. And if you're consistently walking them through the effort of saying, all right, customer called you for a service change, but what else could you do to serve future needs? They need to know what those future needs could be, conceptualize them, and build them into the plan. So you couldn't do options unless you're already a skilled electrician. So if you're worried about not having time to train your guys on practical or sales, you could do both by teaching them options.
Okay, that sounds very true. And I've been in this for a while, and I just want to show concern for maybe a viewer that just started with us right now. They just got dropped in here today because I want to introduce another word that I think is important here. I actually think this is simpler, and you're serving yourself by doing this too. Why would you say that maybe this is actually simpler than the average electrician and how they're currently presenting to their customers any solution?
So it breaks down if you take the total situation that they're in, and I can explain it in 2 different ways. You have contractor A, who is an untrained on service, but he's a good electrician. The customer comes in, he drives out to the call, he pays for the lead, he answers it himself, he goes out there. So he's already invested time in physically going out. Then he gets led by the nose by the customer who takes him to whatever they want to do. They milk him for every bit of information they could possibly get. He thinks if I give you more intel, more product knowledge, I show how smart I am, you're going to want to work with me. Instead,
that's the electrician's curse, right?
Yeah. And The problem is that they're going to say, all right, well, thank you so much. Hey, by the way, we're still getting estimates. Just give me your number and I'll get back to you when I'm ready. But that's not where it ends. Go
Okay,
ahead.
good. You're going to pause there because I'm just like, why does that happen though?
Yeah, there's even more on top of it. You've got the situation where now the person has to play follow-up, where they're like, well, I didn't make a presentation time. I'm going to call you at this time. And then they don't answer. And then you call, and then you email, and then you call, and then they already don't like you. So you spent time paying for the lead, going to the call, spending with the customer, coming up with your number and pricing out, which you likely just emailed over in the first place, then follow via phone, follow via email, and then wondering why they didn't call you back, only to hear, oh, we went with someone cheaper. Thanks for your time.
And be honest, guys, comment below F you if you do actually follow these up. If you physically call them once, twice at least. And comment below NFU if you don't, not following up. That'll be fun just to see who's actually doing it. I mean, for me, I was too busy. I was wearing too many hats. I wasn't following up. A guy needs a team for all that, Joe. What about you? Did you guys follow up consistently?
So at every stage, yeah. So what we did was when it was just me doing the sales and trying to do everything as far as I was answering the phones while doing the calls. And we had to follow up because the way I saw it was I don't like the sunk cost fallacy. Like I'm already in it. I've spent the time. I've met with you. I put in my effort. I had to pay for the gas when we didn't have money. And I don't want to lose that investment. So I'm going to just keep trying to follow up. If nothing else, to figure out where did I go wrong? Like, at least let me know what I did wrong to drive you away so that I could just not lose other customers. But the biggest unlock for me was when we had our office manager. She was able to make all these calls out. And it was on such a consistent basis that we found that they'll tell them what they wouldn't tell me. It could be, well, Joe came across, I don't even know. It could be like Joe came across as arrogant, or he came across, he didn't know what he was talking about, or he seemed too expensive, or he showed up late. Whatever the thing that they wouldn't have told me out of respect for me, they would tell someone else, which now I can take that feedback and actually change what I'm doing to prevent losing customers in that same way.
You got to know.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know this stuff. Yeah, you got to learn it. And so we'll go back to this then. So that's the usual tracks. And the guys that aren't following up, by the way, if you're already an SLE Pro App member, you're in the community, just go down to the value piece section and grab our follow-up script. Super easy to follow. I think one person, Joe, that implemented that when you first built that thing saw like a 17x return on those calls, like massive sales return on that. So definitely worth the follow-up if you're not. If you're an NFU below, please go join the app, get that thing, serviceloopelectrical.com/pro-app. It's linked below, guys, get it. So Joe, that was the average case. And I think a lot of people are there. Yeah. Just like go and run. And it seems like if they have the leads, some of these guys will run 6 to 10, maybe 12 calls a day that way. Just like boop, 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 boop.
Because in that model, they have to. Because if you're not offering options and your highest option is contingent on the biggest request the customer has, you're limited. So like as an example, a customer says, hey, I went to Lowe's, I got the Hampton Bay fan, it's in the box, I've got one right above it. I just want you to change that. It's 2 screws and 3 wires. How much could it cost? Problem is you never explored the whys. You never understood any of the connections. You never looked for anything more. You never offered any additional services. So you're pretty much capped between $200 to $400 there. And if you think, how many $200 to $400 calls can I run and actually generate a profit to eventually give myself a 6-figure salary so that I'm not going insane doing all these calls, you end up burning out. You need the volume because the quality of sale isn't there. It's not scalable and it's not repeatable unless someone's willing to work like a dog.
So you're suggesting that doesn't have to be a $200 to $400 or $600 call on average even. You could get much more from that. And again, this could actually be simpler.
Yeah. So let me explain contractor B, right? And I like that person a little bit more because it's the same logic of I still had to take the call and I still had to go out there. But where the disconnect happens is instead of just trying to show how smart you are and trying to overwhelm them with product knowledge and you're the specialist, you're the guy, I did this, I've been in this many years. Instead of doing all of that and then just emailing a presentation or not even a presentation, just an option or a choice, one estimate to a customer, you instead do something different. We have the concept of right price to the right person at the right time. Because the person who may be asking for the price could be the real estate agent. It could be the single spouse who doesn't even want the job, but is just getting it because their other spouse wants it. It could be something where it's just the office manager. We don't know. And additionally, because we don't know who it is, we don't know what emotional things to speak to. So the second person instead says, all right, this is what I'm going to do for you. I've heard everything you're currently saying. And what I'd like to do is go back to the shop and create a real range of options for you. That way you can know from the best to the least. And regardless, you're in complete control, no gun to your head. You do what you want as long as you feel it's fair. And then we come back at the right time when someone's actually able to make the choice and you're doing it for the right person and you had the time to be creative with it. Now, at that point, we'd offer a range of choices. Now, by offering a range, you're not capped at the bottom $200 to $600 call. Because if you think about it and say, well, why did they want the fan? Well, they just moved into the home and they didn't like the builder grade fixtures. Great. So where else are there builder grade fixtures? In every other bedroom. So if they bought one here because they didn't like how it looked, what about the others? Or this one's come with a remote and they've got kids in the house and that remote's going to be missing and under a couch in no time. So why don't we run a new dedicated line up into the attic and give it 2-switch controls with variable dimmers or smart controls? There's so much you could do to stay relevant. So this person comes back, he presents those choices, and then, provided he doesn't close right then and there, he schedules a follow-up. Book a call from a call, book a meeting from a meeting. He says, you know what? I understand this wasn't the right time for you for whatever reason it was, but I'm committed to seeing you served at the highest level because we served before, during, and after. And I want you to know the level of commitment I'm going to give you even before I get the job so you know what to expect when you do work with me. So this follow-up is not over the phone or over email. I've scheduled a call to come back because either they're going to kick me out and say no right now, and I'll have a real reason I can stop wasting my time, or they'll see that I'm serious about this and they'll either give me the real objection right now for me to squash, or they'll say, you know what, I appreciate that. So I can get other ideas. And then you can come back and actually close it then.
It reminds me of that old expression, which I've just held to be so true, which is where we focus grows. There's no simpler rule. Where you put attention and energy will expand. And so it's just kind of by that law that if you spend more time with someone, and you do so productively, of course. You can't go there and just talk about how the McDonald's slide was your favorite thing to do when you were a kid for 3 hours and think the sale is going to make itself. But obviously, if you focus on their experience and what their needs are and what you're able to provide, then we should see more outcomes.
Exactly. And even more so, if you take the typical demand call, where let's say something's currently broken. A lot of electricians like contractor A will walk in and say, okay, the GFI tripped. Well, what could I possibly offer? I'm either going to reset the GFI or I'm going to change the GFI, and that's all it's going to be. And I wasted my time for a $150 call. Or you could explore and say, well, first off, why did it trip? Oh, the whole countertop on both sides is all sharing on one load side GFI, which is sharing with the fridge, which they're concerned about because they stock really heavily. So now let's localize them all on both sides so they're all line-sided, and we'll put a smart notification device for the fridge. So if that ever turns off, it sends them a text. And if we're doing that because it's a $2,000 fridge, let's put in electronics protection so that if anything does happen, they're not replacing it. It's got a freaking camera inside the fridge, right? So thinking outside the box and serving them higher yields a higher premium and an immense higher level of customer satisfaction.
So far, though, it seems like you've added a lot of things to the average electrician, that contractor's list, Mr. Fix-It's list. But you haven't taken a lot off of my to-dos. You've taken a lot off of the homeowner's to-dos. So how is this actually simpler for me as the contractor, the electrician? How is this better? How is that beneficial for me to have to do so much?
Well, it really comes down to what your end goal is in business, right? We're not looking for customer. We're looking for clients. And if you want to talk about what's simpler, is it simpler to keep chasing people who are coming in and out? Or is it easier to stick with one person who you know is going to not only continue being a repeat business, because based on a previous podcast, we found that the second purchase is actually a 3x value. You find that you can actually have a clientele base that's self-replicating. They're referring you to other people because you've shown how much more you care and what level you can serve. Now, as far as simplification goes, though, I can see the argument of why someone would say, well, it's not because I have to do this, this, and this on top of it. But if you think about the time invested, wouldn't it make more sense to take the time that you need and say, if I'm going to invest this time with this customer, I'm only going to give them a price if it's the right person at the right time. I'm going to stop going and throwing numbers on a spray and pray and just say, you know what? I'm just going to send a quote, whether they think they're going to buy or not. And someone's going to say yes. I'm going to choose my time to be more selective because I need less calls. The guy who's running 12 calls, I'm doing a third of that and saying at most a busy day is 4 calls a day because I'm going to take that more time and be productive with them. I'm going to be listening to them. I'm going to find out, why do you even want to do this? Like, hey, I hear you want a generator, but I figured you didn't even lose power around here. Why are you so concerned about having it? Or I get that you want to update your system, but it's been 30 years old. Why did you decide today? What made you wake up and say you want to get it done now? Really digging into it stops you wasting time as a whole. So is it simpler? Well, yes, because I'm doing less work for a higher reward and having a customer thank me at the same time. So less effort, more money, and more customer satisfaction. That sounds similar to me.
That's fair, man. Good way to turn that around. And as you were talking through this, I was reminded of an episode we did not too long ago with Dorian, where he turned a $24 Angie lead into a $66,000, right? This started with a fixture in the kitchen, a 66K service call, like an Angie lead call, turned into that full retrofit of basically a whole lighting. It was a complete renovation of their lighting. And so much more. I believe there was a service upgrade in there and all this other things. But the important part that stuck out to me and is relating here is I remember Dorian saying, well, it started out with a $24 lead led to a 28K sale, not 66,000, 28. So already just by what Joe's talking about today, that got him to like 10, 15, 20X what we thought that could have been, right? Like massive return. But then even simpler, by, like you were saying, mapping out the what's and the who's it's for and why we're doing this stuff in our work order process and having the rest of the team trained on that, they actually made several more sales that led up to almost 3Xing, like 2.5Xing that ticket. And so if that's not simpler, I don't know what is. To be able to touch something once, set off momentum in a process that leads to, within 30 days, $66,000 where you might have expected a $600 ticket. It's just insane to me how fast this adds up. And I just want to throw this one thought in there too with this thought is like, so often we hear these wins come when we least expect it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So I actually have one particular client in mind that I had to work with that really would be a good example of this. There was a client who did not live in a great part of the area, and as a direct result, did not seem like he had a lot of money. But regardless, he called that he wanted a generator. Now, it was a competitive situation. He was like, I'm getting multiple quotes, but he ended up investing with us. And I think it was somewhere between 16 and 20K, right? But we kept working with him. And at the end of our client relationship, within just a few years, he had actually brought in more than $300,000 from that one client. Now, the crazy thing when you think about that is it because it was a consistent staircase of trust. We started off showing and saying, we're your guy for this. But because we care to learn about you, every time we thought of something that would apply to your situation, we took one step further and then one step further. And now it became new relighting. Now it came new heating systems. Now it came an upgraded generator, upgraded service. But the benefit was you take something small and you invest in it and it pays a dividend, not only in the financial level, but also he constantly referred us out. So we don't even know the X multiplier on that.
Wow, man. Yeah, so powerful, this stuff. Joe, we got to wrap this one up, but tell us, what can people look forward to learning more about from this podcast to that webinar? What are you going to deep dive on? What are people going to take away?
So the biggest thing I can take away is we're going to pretty much call it out the way we see it. And that there's not going to be a lot of safe places to hide in the reasons why you're not doing it. Because there's a lot of reasons we choose not to. But when you actually put the microscope under it, you'll find almost all those come from a scarcity mindset or an emotional reason that we had growing up or that we've been exposed to that's keeping us from offering more. After we've unlocked it and you can now say, all right, the chains are off, but where do I go? I'll teach you a step-by-step formula you can use on not only how to design options, why they're structured the way they are, how you can introduce them to your customers, even if they've never had options before and you've worked with them previously, how to introduce it, how to explain it, and then lastly, how to repeat it. So it'll start from, we're going to unlock you from the prison you're currently in mentally, all the way to the end. We're going to give you the keys to your future success, step by step by step.
I love that. If you guys want to get registered for that event, just click the link down below for the webinar. If you're on the app in the pro community, you're already invited. Just RSVP, just click that button, join us, join Joe there. We're going to go deep, guys. Thank you so much for everything today. Joe, any sign-offs from you?
Just want to say, guys, it's an absolute pleasure and a blessing to be able to work with you. I wish you guys all the best in the future. I can't wait to see you soon. Take care, friends.
Cheers, you guys. Let's make 2026 the best year yet.